Now, there's obviously a lot of good places to put a food plot, but there's some real general areas that you should never plant a food plot, because the food plot on your private land obviously is the highest level of attraction you can put on your property. You can put out a orchard, a bunch of apple trees, fruit trees, and at times they can be highly attractive, but season long, they're not going to make or break typically your property. It's not going to be that season long food source where deer can hit every single day of the year or of the season, starting with a month before the season. Plant that food plot, and always think back, if you plant that food plot and you walk through it and spook those deer that are coming in, now you're educating all the deer in the neighborhood. On the flip side, you use that food plot, then come into your land, you pull all these deer in, and if you manage that level of attraction and don't spook them, then awesome. So there's all of that. You don't want your, but I'm going to talk about a really bad one though. There's all that. You don't want to spook those deer. You have to avoid your access route areas. You can't walk by a food plot, spook those deer every time you get in and out. You can't locate your stands by those plots where you can spook deer. I always say, if you have the opportunity to spook a deer when you come into a food plot and they're regularly feeding there, then you need to shrink the plot, screen the plot, get rid of the plot. But you cannot afford to spook the deer off the food plot, because again, you build this great level of attraction. You attract all the deer from the neighborhood into your plot. You spook them. Now you educated a huge number of deer in the neighborhood that you're going to be on the land, and that this property, and in their mind, this property should be a property we only go to after dark. And if it's that way, folks, what happens with a mature buck, he's a lot different type of critical thinker than does, is if he's not coming to your food plot during the daylight because he knows there's hunting pressure, then why is he even going to come there at night? He's established somewhere else. But that's not the worst. The worst is you put a food plot right next to your neighbors. In fact, there's a food plot right down behind me. It's about, I'd say 70, 80 yards away. And we had this bedding area built back in here on our land. And this is where we expect to draw deer out of. We don't walk through this for almost 2/3 of a mile up this hollow. We don't get down that bottom. It's a very remote, sacred area. We expect deer to live in there, hold in there, and then we come in to hunt them down this open wooded hollow. We want to blow our scent in there. And we're down here low. A lot of people wonder how we manage the wind, but with wind coming from this direction up high, there's a hollow going this way, hollow going this way. That wind just comes up over high and it spins right up back up this hill. That's what it's doing right now. It's hitting me, even though it's northwest wind up there, it's hitting me from the northeast down here, going back up that hollow. So I'm almost have my back to the wind, even though true wind up top is in my face. But with that food plot right down there, that places deer in our bedding area. We get to see those deer then for 90% of the daylight. They're on our land here because the food plot is down there. Now, this bedding area relates to food we have up top and areas we're trying to control their time. But our nearest food plot away from here is about 250 to 300 yards and up high. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. We'll be right back. I really want you to check out our seed company, Pure Wildlife Blends. We changed the name from WHS to reflect Pure, what our seed's all about and our company is all about. Right now is a great time to be putting down our perennial, our Green Max traffic blend for trails and around the water holes, our switchgrass, our summer soil explosion. It's amazing what people are buying right now, even going all the way into the fall, getting all their seed available right now. We'll have it all year though, you don't have to rush. Check it out while you're at it, while you're on the website. Check out our How You Design Your Whitetail Parcel. It's a great web class and some of the other ones. We have lots to offer, including the books too. Make sure you don't miss out. Now back to the video. When you put a food plot on your border with your neighbor, you have to come through your property to get to that food plot. Then those deer stay on your neighbors. And some will say, well, what if it's an unpressured, non-hunting neighbor where no one's allowed to hunt? Well, again, now you're putting those deer on that parcel where those deer can hang out during daylight for 90% of the day on someone else's land. And in this case, that food plot over here actually helps our hunting because we already designed all of our access and property walk up and our stand location right over here. We have a water hole over here. We designed our bedding area because it's a good spot for a bedding area. We love bedding areas. You look at the opposite. If food's not good on a property border, then bedding area is good on a property border, which is what we do. And in that case, the neighbor right here with that food plot, and I don't even care if he sees it, the neighbor, if he watches this video, that's no problem either. Maybe we'll help him with that someday, but bottom line is his food plot down there puts deer on our property that we can take advantage, because now we get to hunt them, watch them, discover their patterns, get to hold them even better on our property. Because if there's a food plot over there, well, they're not staying there during the daylight. They have to walk through the land to get to that food plot all the way to the back of their property. And so very difficult to hunt. And if we're hunting here, the deer almost have to pass our area in our stand location, our water hole, to get to theirs. It's still great for us to come in the morning because we come through a non-deer area, get into this, and then they file through sometime after daylight. So really watch it. You don't want to spook deer off. You don't want to hunt food plots if you have to spook deer when you get in and out. I love hunting food plots. I shot a beautiful buck bow last year, but it meets all that criteria for it's a small hunting plot. The deer are on the way to somewhere else. We have screened access. We can get in and out without spooking deer. The deer aren't there very often because they're just passing through to get to the bigger food source. So it's okay to hunt on plots if you get on and off without spooking deer, but your access can't go through food plots. You don't want to set yourself up to spook deer on your plots. And then also certainly you don't want to develop this big, beautiful, luscious green food plot only to have those deer that are coming onto the plot on your land bed somewhere else during the daylight in an area that you can't hunt, or that a neighbor could be exposed to and watch those deer and take advantage of those movements. So really got to watch out for that. I use this as an example just because we've shot two really nice bucks out of here 2 years ago, Jen and I. I was able to pass up a 4-year-old here, Shorty. We have really great hunts down here. And what the neighbor did with a food plot, just being 70, 80 yards away, really helped us in this situation. In order to put deer on here during the daylight, allow us to take advantage of them and have a really good hunt. So think about that. Be very careful with your food plots. Learn how to manage the level of attraction, making sure that these deer are coming in, you're not spooking them off, and then certainly that you're not putting deer unknowingly on your neighbors that can really come to bite you when it comes to managing your hunt and managing those mature bucks and making them spend more time on your land than on the neighbors.